Hello, everyone. Welcome to AI4. We are so excited to have you here today. Our next session is going to be by INGRID VASILIU. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage. She is going to be turning on her video now and sharing her screen. Let's give her a great big virtual welcome as she joins us for our next session.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Awesome. So as you heard, today we're gonna focus on the global impact of AI on population health. And during our time together, what I thought would be nice to share is first the definition of population health, some of the challenges and opportunities we encounter in the industry. A little bit we'll touch on the AI portfolio available to us currently in the scientific and professional community, as well as the current AI impact. And I'll give a few use cases on some of the disciplines and technologies that I think have made the most impact over the last few years. And then if we get a chance, I'll share some of the future directions that I do believe we can look forward to in the AI industry. So when one has to define population health, there are a variety of ways to look at it from many perspectives and lenses, so to speak. One is that we could think about population health as maintaining wellness. Another way to conceptualize it would be that we want to even focus on preventing congenital disorders. And as you know, there are many disciplines just focusing solely on that. And then, of course, for the past many hundreds of years, we focused very much on preventing acute disease, preventing chronic disease, and managing chronic disease. Lately, over the past 5 years, I think we've seen also a tremendous increase in interest to manage longevity, instead of calling it elder care only, to actually focus on considering aging as a disease and trying to develop new mechanisms and new tools that could prolong life in a meaningful way that allows us to still function and not necessarily deal with disease. When we talk about AI, I sometimes like to quote Lao Tzu that mentions that we have a lot of 1,000 miles to walk on our journey in AI. And I think we've made tremendous strides in the industry, but we have a lot of opportunity to improve. And there are many, many more scientific discoveries we have to embark on. Next, I wanted to share some of the challenges and opportunities we've noticed over the past few years. And again, there are many ways to focus on these challenges. What I thought would be helpful maybe is by specifying some of the specific disciplines, such as genetic disorders, environmental diseases, and of course, with the pandemic we're dealing with now, infectious diseases have become on the forefront of our daily agenda, of course. And for the past several years, the focus has been very much on trying to use AI tools to address chronic disease. As we know, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and many others have occupied not only the agendas on many conferences, but also the labs, the academic centers, and many others in the industry that are dedicating their life and passion and scientific expertise to try to tackle those. And another very important domain that I think warrants us to describe it a little bit is the fact that we have an issue with our behaviors in society. The population is not always compliant. In a hypothetical ideal world, if everybody would always follow all recommendations that we know can help us with maintaining wellness, maintaining health, and addressing even known disease, it would be easier. But unfortunately, although we've tried, we have not found a perfect solution for that yet. There are many tools, specifically AI-powered tools, that are aiming to address population behavior. And those include even gamification, chatbots, many other apps that are trying to engage all of us, because all of us are dealing with this, and helping us be better or improve what we're doing currently to deal with all these issues. The other part is, of course, there's scarce resources globally. If we had endless resources, it would be easier to address some of the challenges we've encountered over years with mitigating disease. So, of course, this list is not inclusive, but I just wanted to highlight a few that as a society and as an industry, we've been dealing with. Luckily, there are not only challenges, there are also tremendous opportunities. So on a positive note, I think it's interesting to see the massive development that we have noticed in precision medicine. And specifically, panomics has been a field that has powered the opportunities we have in precision medicine. We every day witness new developments in medications, medical devices, new treatment pathways that are all a consequence of beautiful combination of AI tools and, of course, scientific discoveries based on all panomic scientific discovery, of course. And then exponential medicine is another concept that I wanted us to maybe spend some time on. That approach to medicine involves all other disciplines. So you would develop tools and mechanisms that would not only encompass AI, but also other technologies, and then also bring in the field of ethics, law, and physics, mathematics, and any other disciplines that we find helpful. And that really allows us to transcend some of the boundaries and silos we've experienced in healthcare and in the life sciences industry, frankly, for many years. Those together, a precision medicine approach that allows us to customize treatment to the individual needs with an exponential medicine mindset would really help us change the paradigm in healthcare and focus more on well care, focus on prevention, and less on just mitigating consequences of disease. As we've seen over the last few months, virtual care has also noticed a tremendous uptick in not only adoption, but also I can clearly see increased interoperability. So we see much more interaction in the industry between patient platforms that help with coordinating care, with monitoring disease through wearables, implants. So when we say virtual care, we don't only consider telehealth, we consider also AR, VR, XR tools, implants, exoskeletons, everything that we have in our armamentarium technologically would be encompassed in virtual care. And of course, overlapping AI on that virtual care rich data set can then really yield benefits in our ability to monitor patients, monitor disease states, and of course also in the aim to prevent further disease or worsening. We could also have in the future AI tools available to our clinicians as clinical decision support, so that they can even use those tools in the hospital or in another type of facility. So when we talk about virtual care, again, we want to take a 360 approach and think about how can we use all the tools available to us currently and bring them all together, and then use AI to help us gain insights, of course. The behavioral interventions that I mentioned before can be considered, of course, a challenge and an opportunity, but in this portion, I think I wanted to highlight the fact that we have seen a lot of startups lately trying to dedicate themselves to share some of the insights and lessons learned from other industries and bring all those technological tools that are all AI powered to help patients. Specifically, mental health is a great example, or managing medication safety, or managing eating patterns, or monitoring exercise, rehabilitation. The examples are almost endless. And although there is increased adoption, I think we have still a lot of opportunities to improve these tools. And the one that made a lot of splash in the media lately, it's of course the recent announcement that we might have to witness human-computer interfaces at larger scale, not just in the scientific realm. So I think that's why I put a question mark there. There are split decisions and split opinions on if that should be allowed or not, and the opportunities versus dangers. I think with all of us working together, maybe there are ways to use them only in the most mindful and appropriate way, and to help those that really, really need it. Of course, unfortunately, sometimes there are those who also venture into more futuristic scenarios where human-computer interfaces, so for instance, with the brain, would be used also for not so positive reasons. But today, for our talk, we'll only focus on the tremendous potential to help a lot of diseases where being able to have human-computer interfaces would be massive, such as in neurosciences, of course, or neurology. And then a quote I like to sometimes say when we have to face opportunities and challenges is that it has to start with all of us. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. So it's crucial to not get discouraged by the challenges and keep trying to change everything one day at a time and do our best. And now we're going to move a little bit to the other section where I just wanted to highlight a few industry trends for the AI tools that we have available. We've been using a lot of AI tools for years. However, lately we have seen a tremendous uptick in some of the machine learning tools, and they're of course wonderful. However, I wanted to caution a little bit that it's really important not only to have good quality data, but also to be mindful how we deploy these AI tools. So for healthcare and life sciences, I sometimes like to emphasize that we should use the term augmented intelligence instead of artificial intelligence. Augmented intelligence would mean that it augments our clinical and scientific expertise. It should never be that we solely rely on the tools we created. Additionally, when I mentioned that we have to deploy them mindfully, I was referring to the fact that digital ethics is also noticing a tremendous renaissance, so to speak. For many years, people put ethics a little bit on the side burner, but I think with the recent rapid deployment of a variety of technologies, not just AI, more and more experts are cautioning and emphasizing the need to have a robust digital ethics program, specifically for AI. There are a lot of myths and confusions and misconceptions, and I think it's incumbent upon us to educate everybody and make sure we always specify that all AI tools are created by, by humans, and that if we deploy them appropriately and make sure that we give the appropriate data inputs and specifications, a lot of the misconceptions can be clarified. Again, I think the ones, if I had to highlight a few, the neural networks, the unsupervised learning, and deep learning have probably caused most concerns over the last few years. But I always like to say, like with everything, there are those with malicious intent in every discipline and with every technology. And it's our job to just make sure that we deploy them from the beginning appropriately and embed safeguards into the fabric of any AI technology. So cyber ethics, I think, would be an important component for any business that tries to deploy AI tools. Just a reminder that quality is not an act, it is a habit. And particularly for using AI tools, I always like to emphasize that you have to have good quality data. Otherwise, it's futile to deploy any AI tool because you will end up with a bad result. And now I wanted us to share a few examples and use cases of where we see the most impact of AI currently. There are many ways to slice and dice the impact. It's so broad, but for our talk today, when we focus on population health, I think there are a lot of drivers of population health. We already touched a little bit wellness. The wellness component of our global health is, of course, important. Health care when we have disease. And then the whole life sciences spectrum with the pharmaceutical industry, of course, the medical devices industry and imaging, diagnostics, pharmaceuticals, phonomics. There are many, many facets where we could absolutely say that over the last few years, AI has changed the paradigm in all of these. And we see new tools emerging every day. And then of course, also new treatment developments and new opportunities to improve wellness almost on a daily basis. Here is another way to conceptualize the impact by categories, not only of disciplines within medicine, but also technologies, and how does AI work together with nanotechnology or blockchain or quantum computing or edge and DNA computing or brain-computer interfaces. And again, for each of these, we can give countless examples where specific use cases have not only shown tremendous application, but also can completely disrupt the way we think about disease and the way we think about global population health. And I'll give a few examples in a minute. So for instance, when we think about how AI can help precision medicine, so a few examples that are relevant for even our situation currently that's going on with the pandemic, you can use the combined power of genomics or the larger field of panomics to develop precision medicine solutions powered by AI. And then you can develop new vaccines, new medications, new medical devices at a much faster pace and maybe with better outcomes than our traditional methodology. Additionally, I think another great example is the massive advancement we see in use of AI for imaging data. Particularly, again, during the pandemic, we've seen many scientists and clinicians worldwide deploying advanced AI tools and the imaging data available to try to detect known disease earlier, prioritize treatment by ranking severity and allowing clinicians to act faster or be able to segregate and separate which disease responds faster to certain treatments. And then of course also identify new disease that we never knew. And these are again, not totally inclusive examples. I just wanted to share a few. Otherwise we would need another workshop just for this topic. Another fascinating field that doesn't get as much attention, but again, for those that are involved on a daily basis, they have seen the beautiful advancements of the AI tools and the other scientific technology tools that we have at our disposal now. And in pathology, we've seen optimized sensitivity and specificity, the development of new categories of disease, totally new insights of even how we understand human anatomy in ways that before were never possible. And that's all just due to the amazing AI tools we have available right now. And then of course, on almost a monthly basis, we see new technologies. You can see beautiful imagery of the brain or any other organs that before was never possible. In the neurosciences, that's a passion of mine, and I spent many years in this field. Definitely AI has also helped us, for instance, with Alzheimer's or any other dementias or autism to really understand much better what's going on a very deep level, and to use AI tools to develop and gain insights that until now were not possible due to the sheer volume of data required to be analyzed. So we've had the opportunity with various AI tools to develop new treatments, understand how memory, aging, emotions, and awareness works. As we referenced before, there are groups that work on brain-computer interfaces to help patients that had trauma or physical trauma, or that have any other disease states that interfered with their ability to function normally. So definitely, this is one of the fields that probably is going to grow exponentially as well. And now I wanted to share a little bit about not only the AI impact on global population health, but the augmented impact if we have a hybrid AI with other technologies approach. And I've spent a lot of time dedicated to blockchain and AI. And I think I can share that I do believe each one of them has tremendous benefits that can help us really enhance access to data, ability to share the results of precision medicine tools that we deployed, as well as make data available to various stakeholders at a level of granularity that is not possible in current systems. And then of course, also the sheer ability to process massive data in a much higher pace and efficient, of course, at a higher efficiency as well, is another benefit. So again, that also warrants many hours of explaining the potential amazing benefits of the dual power. I just wanted to mention that particularly for population health, being able to leverage the advantages of a ledger technology with all the tools available within the AI portfolio is a tremendous chance that we have. And I hope we're using this pandemic to our benefit, have a lesson learned, so to speak, so that for the future generations, they can not be in this situation. Another great example is the use of AI with nanotechnology, and there are a lot of course, precision medicine tools developed that use those too. Then quantum and edge computing are in their infancy, but same thing, experts believe that the massive computational advantages of quantum computing can really change the paradigm for life sciences, research and development, developing new medications or new treatments in general. So we hope to see a lot of movement over the next few years in the scientific community on the combined power of AI with novel computing mechanisms. And then, of course, wearables and implants, being able to analyze all the massive data sets generated by all the current gadgets that we all allow to track our body physiology and other data sets that we can input, is also a field that has seen not only a lot of attention from the scientific community, but also from investors. And I do believe that the generations that are accustomed to using a lot more mobile technologies and are much more comfortable sharing data through various wearables and remote monitoring tools will generate massive data sets over the next 10, 15 years that will need the AI expertise superimposed in order to develop good long-term global health solutions. So what are some of the future directions that I wanted to share? Well, there are a few ways, again, to conceptualize this. And one way is to address some of the technologies we referenced. If we think about a digital era that we are currently experiencing, but even push it towards what some call the fifth industrial revolution, we can envision a global population health model that would encompass all these technologies: AI, blockchain, quantum, edge, IoT, 5G. And there are even some of those who dream about global healthcare cities or global healthcare systems. And there are pockets and pilots of those currently in the world. Although it's not our topic today, there are a lot of experts who are focusing their attention on Internet of Bodies and Internet of Medicine, where the same way we have currently mostly all companies dedicated towards making sure that our other facets of society have the type of internet support we need. But the medical component would be that we would link all the medical data generated in a grid and would gain insights from it. So again, being able to deploy AI with IoT and leverage the 5G networks would be tremendous. Of course, that's not here today yet for everybody to use, but there are already pilot cities in the world that have tried to deploy this at a smaller scale. So if I had a wish list as a futurist, I would have 3 items on that Christmas wish list: global precision medicine data exchange, a global AI ecosystem, and a global healthcare ecosystem. The first 2 are not that impossible to attain even in the near future. I think a global healthcare ecosystem would involve, of course, much more involvement from the regulatory perspective, IT perspective, legal perspective, and all other disciplines we mentioned. But definitely the first 2, I think, are certainly possible. And we've seen it in the pandemic currently, that when there is an urgent need where everybody rallies together, it can certainly be accomplished. We're coming to an end, but just a few more thoughts to stimulate your interest. The quantum advantage, like we already addressed, I think is something to watch, specifically if we combine exponential concepts that we referenced earlier in our conversation virtually, and add the quantum power to that. I can see an exponential precision medicine approach that can really redefine global health. And then last but not least, like we mentioned, I think IoT and 5G can be the catalysts for a global AI ecosystem. The other component that's not so common is fintech and precision medicine. More and more we see breaking silos between payment models, mobile ways of interacting with various financial tools. And in time, I think people will want to merge some of their healthcare needs with their payment of healthcare providers with some of these gadgets. So I think AI has a huge potential to be the liaison and the catalyst for both of these industries, precision medicine and fintech. And I do certainly think that by investing in both of those from a scientific perspective to learn insights from each other and leverage the benefits in both industries, we can at least set the foundation for a global healthcare system. And this concludes our talk for today. If anybody has questions or is interested in learning more about any of the topics we addressed today, or any of the concepts we shared, such as a global AI healthcare system or a novel precision medicine approach, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much for your attention and spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. That was an awesome presentation. A big virtual round of applause from the audience. So everyone, you can feel free to go ahead and find your next session. And also you have the opportunity to do some networking using the app. So we'll see you all at your next session. Thank you again, Ingrid, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.